Well, the city has to sell the building. We legally cannot hold that building if it doesn't serve a public purpose. So there'll be an RFP. It will go out, and I hope that there's a lot of interest in that building. And to the point of mixed use, I still think that mixed use is reasonable for that space. It's walking distance to the downtown. That could be very appealing to businesses wanting to be part of the central business district. So I think, a restaurant there or some other retail would be great. And, again, empty nesters, commuters, I think living close to downtown would be very attractive. So I think that there could potentially be another process similar to any other building that gets sold, where it goes through the same, steps of going before planning, and I think that could, this could still come up as a use for, multi-use, again, mixed use, I should say.
The other thing I would have to say, I would just want to say that it's likely we would have pulled it back anyway, if only because the county and HUD are still having issues about the settlement. And so we were thinking perhaps we need to wait to let that die down and see what the result of that is before we do anything further in terms of making this property more flexible. It's already, zoned for mixed use, but it can be 2.5 stories instead of 3, and you can't have residential on the first floor, which this other proposal would have allowed. So it can still allow for that mixed use. What I would expect, we'll go out and look for proposals. The city has, because the city's the owner, unlike, other properties around, has, as Kristen Miller has said several times, the city can just decide not to sell the building, or to sell the building to this person, somebody who wants to do something that we don't think is in the best interest of the city. But what I can see possibly happening is that somebody takes a look at the building and decides they'd like to do something, but they'd like to do a little more that they can do. They're allowed to do by right, as of right, and that they might come and say, here's my proposal. This is, what the impact we think it's going to be, and this is what we'd like to do, and we need a variance of some sort, and they could possibly go through the same procedure that anybody else in this town does who has a piece of property who wants to do something. And that way the council can look at it and consider the plan and decide, does this make sense? Is this part of our vision for developing this area? Is this going to contribute to the community? Is it going to be detrimental to the community? And at that point, we can look at maybe making an exception to the rule.
We're clearly going to take a bath on that. Clearly. The former council, basically bought an option. And, they left before they looked. And they could have ended up looking like heroes. And that was the risk they took. And instead of looking like heroes, they look like the opposite at this point. And, it's hard to really blame them, but it certainly didn't work out as planned. Okay, and now we're stuck holding the bag. Okay, so now we have this piece of property that we bought for $6.2 million. Thinking about it today, oh my goodness, what a number. And now, if we were to try to sell it on the open market as is, I'm not going to opine as to what the actual value is, but it'd be a fraction of that. Okay.
So the original price is no longer relevant. But in looking at whatever we get and evaluating the use, is it going to create another cost? One of the analyses had 60 units in there, and an estimate of 100 kids times 20,000. That's $2 million a year per head, and certainly it wouldn't be generating $2 million a year in tax revenue, in school tax revenue. So even if you got a phenomenal price for the building, in short order, the community would be basically covering the operating cost of those units. So that has to be weighed. And so any plan that involves a variance or how that building is zoned has to consider what are the other implications beyond the sale price. What does it mean for the business district? What does it mean for that area?